The 35-year-old poker player is said to have another home in La Jolla, a beach town near Mexico, which resembles Tony Stark's headquarters in Iron Man. And then of course there's his crash pad in Las Vegas, which at one point was an apartment at the Panorama Towers, developed by Britain's Andrew Sasson. As for women, Bilzerian is no longer in a relationship with Playboy playmate Jessa Hinton, who told a reporter that she slapped Bilzerian when she read a tabloid account of drugs and prostitutes at private Hollywood card games. Meanwhile, Bilzerian's sometimes cruel depictions of women elsewhere, "Ugly girls hurt my eyes," he has tweeted, attaching a picture of several females with one of their faces scribbled out in red pen, have led some to accuse him of misogyny. It's the money that continues to provoke the most debate, however. Some believe he made his own fortune in poker before his trust funds became accessible. Others argue that, quite the opposite, Bilzerian can only afford to take part in nosebleed stakes games because of his dad's offshore assets, and that rival players don't just regard him as a fish-bad player, they see him as the ultimate whale of fish with a seemingly never-ending bankroll. When interviewed in July 2014 by the radio host Howard Stern, Bilzerian declared that his net worth was around $100 million, £63 million, $50 million, £31 million, of it from the previous year's winnings, and said he has 20 employees, including 3 assistants and 3 chefs. Bilzerian, it should be noted, doesn't pretend to be among the world's best poker players. He simply argues that he has access to, and is good at picking, the most lucrative private cash games. Few are convinced of the accuracy of those numbers, however. Does he have $100 M? Asks Jonathan Grotenstein, the poker player who visited his home in LA recently. No, I don't think he has access to that kind of money. He plays poker at really, really high stakes, but he's not playing in the top games with guys like Tom Dwan, or going to Macau, where million-dollar pots are won and lost all the time. I think Dan is more about using poker as part of an image that he's trying to create, and I think there are a lot of people out there who will lend him a private jet, or let him test drive a ridiculous car. GQ couldn't establish if Bilzerian does indeed own a Gulfstream 4 or a Lamborghini, or whether he in fact rents his home in LA for $35,000 a month from Wong Jit Lian, one of the richest men in Singapore, as has been rumored online. An interior designer who studied a photograph of his bedroom, meanwhile, concluded that the furniture was from West Elm, barely more expensive than IKEA. There are plenty of other skeptics, including a gossip blog, The Dirty, which routinely mocks Bilzerian's reputation as the most interesting man on Instagram, a moniker inspired by the Dos Equis beer advertisements. Fake Equis is how the site refers to him. What is undeniable, however, is that Bilzerian has displayed a lot of savvy in developing an entirely new kind of celebrity, and has carried it off with a nihilistic, gonzo-esque sense of humor that has for the most part diffused its more abusive undertones. Often, in fact, he seems to be sending up his own image while at the same time reveling in it. While this new watch may not get me any pussy, as he tweeted a few months ago, along with a picture of his $800,000 Richard Mille timepiece, it does make me feel better about being neglected as a child. Later, he faked his own arrest and disappeared for a few hours, only to re-emerge with a video of himself doing donuts in a police car, sirens blaring, with what looked like a whiskey bottle in his hand. Bilzerian's talent for calculated risk is also beyond question. When he invested $1 million in the Mark Wahlberg war film Lone Survivor, for example, it was conditional upon him getting at least 8 minutes of screen time and 80 words of dialogue. When his role was cut to almost nothing, he sued, revealing a contract that read more like a hedge fund position than a Hollywood deal. And yet in the end, having reaped all the publicity, he dropped his case, arguing that the film had been so successful, he didn't want his money back, because he'd made $1.5 million on the back end. Similarly astute was his decision to put up 20% of the $10,000 buy-in for an up-and-coming poker star, Jay Farber, at the 2013 World Series of Poker. When Farber won $5 million, Bilzerian was able to claim a $1 million cut. What's more, he got to sit in the front row, getting his beard stroked by a model on live television. Whatever Bilzerian's endgame might be, however, it isn't yet clear. Over recent months he has replaced his publicist with a new firm, quietly dropped his description of himself as an asshole on Twitter, played up his donations to charity, and became uncharacteristically shy when approached by GQ. Could this mean the Instagram king is craving some respectability? Or would that destroy the allure he has so assiduously cultivated over the months since his breakthrough? Dan Bilzerian is 2.5 inches bigger than we thought. Dan Bilzerian is 2.5 inches bigger than we thought. By GQ. January 29, 2015. Bilzerian has already hinted at the answer in a self-leaked text message exchange with his social media manager, Greg Barroth, who complained that some of his clients' more lurid behavior wasn't a brand-friendly idea and could turn off future sponsors. "Oh well," wrote Bilzerian, before posting an image of himself on a yellow life raft, being carried through a crowded nightclub with a naked woman in Christian Louboutins lying face down next to him. "Good thing I'm rich and I don't give a F."